The No Kings crazies were out in full force as the Democrat Party says we got to talk like normal people. But there was nothing normal about what you heard over the weekend. Let's talk about it. Here we go.
Let's go.
I am in Fox News. I was filling in for Jimmy Failla on Fox Across America, so that's why we're a few minutes late if you're watching live on YouTube. Either way, this was a weekend where it was crazy people. And, you know, I'm listening to Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear say Democrats have to sound like normal people. And then you hear Robert De Niro and the troll under the bridge, Randy Weingarten, and you hear Jane Fonda, and you go, there's nothing normal about these people. They can't even tell you what they're protesting. That's the other crazy part about this, is that you go on the street and you ask people, all right, it's a No Kings protest. What are you protesting? And they're like, I don't know. And there's one woman who's literally dressed as a banana. And our buddies, Frank Scales and Ian, they went up to her and they're like, well, what are you protesting? She doesn't have an answer. She's in a banana costume, but she can't answer what she's protesting. So we'll get to that. And this comes as the dumbest U.S. senator, not on the mainland. That would be Mazie Hirono. She's in the final four of dumb U.S. senators for the entire Senate. But when it comes to not being on the mainland, by far takes the cake. Actually puts a post out saying Trump is not a king and never will be. And that's the kind of defeating the purpose of the No Kings route. You're having a protest saying no kings because your argument is Trump is a king. That's why you're having the No Kings protest. But then you've got a U.S. senator who's a Democrat coming out and saying, this guy's not a king. And so you're basically undermining the cause for all of your people. But she's too dumb to realize that. So she didn't delete the post, even though people were weighing in going, thank you. That's what we're trying to tell your people. We know he's not a king. That's why you guys are wasting your time and your banana costumes, which I don't even know where you get a banana costume this time of year. Spirit Halloween's not open. I'm guessing you probably have the banana costume and, you know, you pull it out for the No Kings rally and the No King. And then you've only to find out Trump's not a king because the dumbest U.S. senator posts that and says, Trump's not a king. And I love Mike Lee's reply. And he goes, you know, thank you. Yeah, like that's what we're saying, basically. So, yeah. But we have a lot of the geniuses who were out there screaming about Trump being a king, but not really being able to say what they're there for. Like, here's a woman who claims she was showing up for democracy by demonstrating in Philadelphia. She claimed the U.S. Constitution is eroding, but really doesn't have an answer for how.
Why are you out protesting No Kings?
Because I believe in the basic fundamental principles of our democracy. And if we don't show up now, when it's the most important time to show up, when we see those, that contract eroding, right? Our Constitution is a contract. And so to not show up at this critical moment is to abandon what makes us amazing.
How is the Constitution eroding right now?
Well, now I'm going to sound like an idiot. So we have the...
You already sound like an idiot.
Oh my God, I can't believe, like, I'm put on... All right. We have the Trump out there right now pushing up against protesters in major cities. Yep. We have Minneapolis as the main show of that, and the violence used against protesters within that city. So there's plenty of reasons I can go on and on and on, but I can't because I'm in the middle of a protest.
Yeah, I mean, there are plenty of reasons. I could go on and on, but it took me a lot of time to put this banana costume on. So that's the woman in the banana costume, by the way. So I don't really have time. I didn't really plan that anyone was going to ask me why I'm here protesting. So, I mean, I could go on and on, but I didn't spend all day putting on a banana costume and the time it took to go buy said banana costume to have to answer your silly questions, okay? So, please, I'm going to sound like an idiot now. That's my favorite part of that whole clip is when she goes, I'm going to sound like an idiot now. Like, now? No, I think you sounded like an idiot when you showed up here in the first place, dressed like a freaking banana. But that's me. Here's another person here who a No Kings protester lost it and stormed off because they're confronted with the fact that nobody in the Democrat Party actually voted for Kamala Harris to be their nominee, which is true. The last Democrat who was actually chosen by the grassroots Barack Obama in the year 2008. Ever since then, it has been the superdelegates who've chosen. They chose Hillary Clinton in 2016 to stop Bernie Sanders. They chose Joe Biden in 2020. And then in 2024, after they pushed Biden out, they chose Kamala Harris. Closed convention. No one got any say. And once again, the grassroots got mad because they didn't get to pick their nominee. Take a listen.
Out of office. Yeah. Would you like J.D. Vance to be the president?
No,
then?
I would not.
Okay.
Yeah, I would not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who would you like to be the president?
Kamala Harris right now, but she didn't win. But
Can I point out something that we say no kings and no authoritarianism, but Kamala Harris, no one voted for her.
Yes, they did. Half the country voted for her, so let's not go there.
No one was voted for her to be the nominee.
Yes, they did.
Isn't that what, like, authoritarian?
No, you're going down the wrong road right now with me. I wouldn't go any further.
What does that mean?
I'm not going to talk to you anymore. That's what it means.
I just think it's ironic that no one voted for her to be the nominee. They just selected her like a king gets selected, right?
Have a good day.
Okay.
See ya.
I can't hear
What's
you.
your other sign say?
You don't need to see it.
Okay.
None of your business.
Yeah, I can't. It's like what my kids do. My 5-year-old is going through this phase now where when we tell her not to do something, she goes, "Stop it." I have to say, "Don't you tell me to stop it. I'm your father. You do what we tell you to do." That guy, less maturity than Reagan. Because he's like, "I'm not going to talk to you anymore because I don't like your question." Nada, boo-boo. Again, if you come to the protest, you should be prepared to actually articulate why you're protesting and what you're protesting. And then if you can't do that, maybe you shouldn't be there. Or maybe you should have a script. Maybe you should have a script like Robert De Niro, a man who has spent his life reading scripts. Now, I will give you this. Robert De Niro is an incredibly brilliant actor. He's one of my favorite actors, not people, but actors. I mean, the man played young Vito Corleone, Raging Bull. I mean, I could go on. And then he lost all his money, so he had to do every single movie that they gave him, and most of them at a certain period of time were just all terrible. But there was a period of time where he was making some real great ones, obviously. I mean, he's an Academy Award-winning actor, but he's always read lines from a script. What would happen, though, if he didn't have those lines memorized and someone just gave him a script on set and said, "Go"? Well, it would probably sound something like this.
How can this be happening? Look at the power of the No Kings National Uprising. Look at the power of the No Kings National Uprising. Afraid of Trump? Please. No, they should be more afraid of us.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Line.
Take
Trump
two.
bad.
Can we reset?
Yeah. Okay. Line. Orange man bad. Right. That orange guy, bad. Can't somebody get him cue cards? I mean, come on. The guy's been around the block enough. Hold up cue cards like they used to do with Marlon Brando when they filmed The Godfather. They had cue cards on people's backs so that Brando, who could never memorize his lines, would know his lines. But, I mean, I'm sure somebody at the No Kings protest could have put a cue card on their back for Robert De Niro. The guy's an Academy Award-winning actor. Raging Bull. Other movies. But at least it wasn't as bad as Randy Weingarten, who is an Academy Award-winning actor for playing a troll under the bridge who will steal your kids' milk money, the head of the National Teachers Union, and she's about 4'3", and when she jumps up and yells, she gets all the way up to 4'5". Here she is, jumping and screaming.
Because the only way the government acts for the people, listens to the people, responds to the people, solves the people's problems, is if it is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people.
Ow.
That's why standing up and showing up,
stand up, actually, if you could.
Like millions of us are doing today is so important. It is the only way we can get the government to act in our interests, act in our kids' interests, act in working people's interests. It's the only way we can tackle housing costs and healthcare costs and child care costs and save our damn retirements.
Okay, fine. I quit. I submit. Uncle. Fine. Trump's bad. Okay. Will you stop talking now? Please. If I can get him to resign, will you never talk again? Please. If we 25th Amendment him, will you just promise to never, ever, ever speak ever again? How about that? And we had a big celebrity come to Philadelphia over the weekend. That's right. Bill Nye, the science guy. Now, he's not really a science guy per se, but that's his catchy moniker, Bill Nye, the science guy. And it rhymes because Nye rhymes with guy. So him showing up at the No Kings rally in Philadelphia, of all places, was a big darn deal, especially if you loved his PBS show, Bill Nye, the science guy. So what did Bill Nye, the science guy, say during his protest?
Extraordinary times require extraordinary actions. And we are living at a very unusual and troubling times.
Yes.
What this administration is doing is exploiting not really loopholes, but violating traditions or ignoring traditions and taking advantage of things that are in the laws that were never intended to be used this way. Not in, as we say, not in the spirit of the game. I remember very well, I was in high school and then college when Nixon resigned. And that was a big deal. And it was bipartisan. This guy was not playing by the rules. The President of the United States was abusing his authority, and they got him to quit. He left. That was nothing compared to what's going on now. And
nothing.
So we have to
worse than Watergate. I mean, it's worse than Watergate. Where have we heard that before? Oh, I know, from Lawrence O'Donnell, from Rachel Maddow, from everybody in MS Now, formerly MSNBC. Way worse than Watergate. So here we are again. But at the same time, though, Mazie Hirono did say Trump's not a king and never will be. So I feel like Bill Nye, the science guy, should read Mazie Hirono's Twitter, or X, formerly known as Twitter, and then he would know that he's not a king. He's a science guy. So you would, you know what I'm saying? Like if a U.S. senator says he's not a king, science guy, you should follow science. That's the big story of the hour, brought to you by Dr. Mike Veneria, Veneria Dental. 2 locations to serve you in Cinnaminson and Woodbury. Go see Dr. Mike today for your perfect smile. He is the best at what he does, and he'll give you the beautiful smile that you deserve, okay? VeneriaDental.com. But then there was a mother and a daughter, and they also couldn't explain why they were protesting, but at least you had a nice mom-daughter day together. And, I'm all about parental bonding. I was bonding with my kids all weekend, not at a No Kings protest, but at lacrosse games and soccer games. And my girls were sick, so we watched movies and that sort of thing. But hey, listen, family bonding is family bonding nonetheless.
You got mom and daughter, I'm assuming, correct?
Yes,
and you
sir,
are?
Yes, sir. My name is Melissa Group.
Melissa and?
Mia Group.
Mia. We're going to start with Mia. Mia, why are you out here?
To protest and make a better democracy.
And your sign, this is a together sign, I guess.
Sir.
Explain your together sign, Mia.
So it's supposed to be about, we get to make a statement and they just silence us, and they don't get to do that. We have the right.
You have the right to do that. Mom, Melissa, just what does it mean for you to have your little one out here today? And how important is it for you?
Well,
it's
I have
important
3
to
girls,
brainwash my child.
It is so important to build a better future for them. We are here to be the light, not to squash it out, and so it means everything to have my daughter with me.
Now, I'm looking at your signs. Who put it together? Whose idea was this? Tell me. This is your idea? Tell me about it. How'd you come up with this idea?
I just looked up some ideas and I just put it together.
How does it feel to be her mom?
I am so incredibly proud, and she has her own voice. She's here because she wants to. She knows it's the right thing. It just means everything that I'm raising her to be the light, to be a future for all of us.
Well, let's just be glad mom didn't abort her, because that would have been bad. She's the light, and they will not silence us on the side of a highway in the middle of nowhere where people are driving by beeping. That is the light. You can't underestimate the power of a mom and daughter protesting and having no idea why they're protesting and can't naming a specific thing that they're actually upset about. Let me think about it. They couldn't name anything specific other than they wanted to be out there protesting together. This is the problem the Democrat Party has right now. At the same time, you have the governor of Kentucky, Andy Beshear, who's out there saying, listen, we need to sound like normal people, okay? We need to sound like normal people. We've got to sound like America. We have to sound like people who everybody can relate to. And he did this whole political article, this whole interview with them, and he said it. He said, listen, the biggest problem we have right now is that people think we're crazy. And we're never going to win as long as people think we're crazy. We have to talk like regular people. How many people do you know who don't have Trump derangement syndrome who were actually out there protesting this weekend? I mean, really, honestly, how many normal people do you know who gave up going to their kids' Little League games or soccer games or anything else to stand on the side of a road and protest? Probably nobody. Probably nobody in your life said, I could go to my daughter's soccer game, but instead we're going to skip that so we can protest. But the people who are out there doing that, they are the Democrat Party base, and they were planning this, and they were waiting for it, and they were looking forward to it, and they were getting other people to do it, and they were even cutting school for it. Well, it was on a Saturday, but you get the point. And you see, that is the issue right there. This is why what Andy Beshear says about relating to people and being able to talk to them is something that can never happen. Because you've got to win over the woman in the banana suit if you want to be president. If you want to become the Democrat nominee, you got to win over the mom and daughter who have no idea why they're out protesting. You got to win over the guy who goes, nana, nana, boo, boo, I'm not going to talk to you. And good luck with that. Good luck with that. Axios had this whole thing, and they said, how about this? For 2028, what if Democrats go with a straight, white, Christian man? I know, it's insane. What if they go with a straight, white, Christian man? Now, you might say to yourself, okay, well, that's like a reasonable strategy. I mean, there are a lot of straight, white, Christian men in this country. So maybe that's a good idea. The problem is, Randy Weingarten would jump up and down and scream that that's racist and that you're putting up a Christian nationalist and you can't say what a man is and it's unfair to LGBTQ plus IA, every letter and number of the alphabet people. And so they would never, ever vote for that person in a Democrat primary. The biggest reason why you can never have a straight white Christian man in today's Democrat Party is because how does that guy appeal to the woman in the banana suit? And the woman in the banana suit is the Democrat Party. That's the base. That's who you have to win if you're going to win. So it's very easy to come out and say, like Andy Beshear says, why don't we sound like normal people? It's very easy to say these things, but they don't want to hear you sounding like a normal person. They want to hear you sound like the woman in the banana suit. And they want you to relate to them, and they want you to relate to them with your absolute hatred for Donald Trump. They don't want you reaching across the aisle. They don't want you trying to make things better. They don't want you trying to work with the other party. They want you being the opposition, period. And unless you're willing to do that, they will never, ever back you. So you can try to be a straight, middle of the road kind of a guy, but that's not going to play with these people. No, you got to do things like Cory Booker. You got to grandstand at airports. You need to be out there talking about abolishing ICE. You need to be racing to the airport to highlight the chaos, even though there's no chaos. And you have to be out there saying the quiet part out loud. You will do everything you possibly can to make sure illegal immigrants can vote.
Corruption, and we're seeing that now on a global scale.
All right, let's talk about the funding fight over the Department of Homeland Security. As I was just discussing with Senator Langford, there was a bill that passed the House. It would have funded DHS, but not ICE and not CBP. Democrats are demanding changes to the way ICE operates, requiring judicial warrants before immigration officers enter homes, banning their use of face masks, just to name a few. Those measures were not a part of the Senate deal. Senator, will this shutdown have been a failure if Democrats cannot secure those changes to ICE policies?
Well, again, I just want to continue to emphasize that we are seeing a colossal failure in presidential leadership, because this president has said again, I have the power to pay TSA agents, and I'm going to do that. Why didn't he do this weeks ago when we started seeing the suffering of folks at the airports? And remember, this fight has never been about TSA.
But what about what Democrats are asking for, Senator? So far, it's not a part of any of the legislation that's being considered in either chamber.
Yeah, we've had a unanimous agreement to do what Democrats were saying from the beginning. Pay TSA and not let ICE have another dollar when they're reckless and out of control in our neighborhoods around the country. We came to that deal. The Republicans capitulated. We unanimously passed that out of the Senate, and the Republicans rejected it. So, yeah, I don't want ICE, masked people jumping out of unmarked cars, slamming Americans to the pavement, barreling into their homes without sufficient warrants. I do not want ICE running into and around our churches, our schools, our hospitals, our courthouses. And yes, I don't want ICE showing up at our polling places, doing the kind of things we've seen video after video of them doing. So
Why not? I thought illegal immigrants can't vote. So why don't you want ICE at polling places? I get it. Illegal immigrants go to schools and they go to hospitals and they go to churches. I get all that. But why would they go to polling places? Why would they go there? If they can't vote. I mean, they could go to a hospital. They go to church. They could go to a school. But they can't vote. So why would they be there? So why are you so worried about that? Because they want illegal immigrants to vote. That's why. Because they want to cheat. That's just the bottom line. And that's what the Democrats want. They want what Cory Booker's saying. They want to fight ICE at every turn. They don't want somebody who's going to reach across the aisle. They don't want somebody who's going to go out there and go after illegal immigrants. They want somebody who's going to stand up and say, we're not funding ICE. You're not dressing up like a banana and going on a beautiful Saturday to a No Kings protest. You're not doing that if you believe that they should be funding ICE even a dime. You're not doing, and that's the base of the Democrat Party. So you can talk all you want about sounding like reasonable people. You can talk all you want about reaching across the aisle. You can talk all about the Democrats maybe need to nominate a straight, white, Christian male, but Lady in the Banana Suit ain't going to like it, and she's the one voting. And so the Democrats realize they have a problem. So they want illegal immigrants to be able to vote. Bottom line, and they're going to say it, and they're going to keep saying it out loud. Because they don't care, because they think you're dumb. They think you're ill-informed. They think you're not paying attention. But the problem is we are paying attention, and we're asking ourselves the same question over and over again. One of these things is not like the other. A polling place is not like a church. A polling place is not like a school. A polling place is not like a hospital. Why are you demanding that ICE never go near a polling site? And why are you refusing to fund ICE until that becomes the thing if illegal immigrants can't vote? Now, let me tell you about my friends at Emmons Roofing and Siding. You know, this winter has been brutal on homes. I'm really glad now it's spring. It's beautiful out today, and it looks like we've turned a corner. April's almost here. So now is the time for you to call Emmons to see what damage winter might have done and have them fix it for you. Whether it's your roof, whether it's siding, doors and windows, you can take solace in the fact that you're getting American-made products. That's right. The shingles, the Owens Corning shingle, which they are platinum certified in, by the way. You're going to have a lifetime warranty on that roof. Lifetime warranty on the materials and the workmanship. And those shingles are made in Kearney, New Jersey. The siding, Certainteed siding made right outside of Philly. Doors and windows, handmade by the Amish in Ohio. And the people at Emmons are fantastic. That's why I've used them in 2 different homes over 12 years. You can trust them. They'll get the job done for you, and they'll get it done for you right, on time, and on budget. The most expensive project is the one you do twice. So only do it once by using my friends at emmonsroofing.com. emmonsroofing.com. Make sure you tell them I sent you. emmonsroofing.com. All right, as we continue here on the show, and please make sure you subscribe to the podcast, and thank you for listening and watching and telling your friends and telling your enemies. The question that I have is, where do we go next with oil prices? Where do we go next with Iran? Where do we go next with all of these things? Caroline Levitt had a White House press briefing today. She said, we're going to be watching very, very closely. We're going to be watching Iran very closely. Good. The biggest battle right now is the Strait of Hormuz and securing the Strait of Hormuz. The president was asked a question, what about Iran charging tolls And this is another reason why I'm very grateful that I have EZPass. Here's what the president said.
The issue of the Strait of Hormuz and Iran control of it and charging tolls, what do you think about that?
Well, I have to find out if it's true. You know, they're going to do whatever they have to do. We could close that up in 2 minutes. We could close that up so fast your head would spin.
We could. That is the question. And, you know, I read this thing over the weekend and it amazed me. You know, they've been battling over the Strait of Hormuz for centuries. For centuries, it has been the thing. It has been something that goes back to the Ottoman Empire and pirates, the Greeks, the Ottomans, the Romans, the Portuguese. They had various different groups have all been fighting over this 2-mile stretch of waterway that is controlled by Iran. But here's the other thing to know. It is also, in addition to being a vital shipping port, it is an area of tourism. That's right. The Middle East right now, and these countries from Abu Dhabi to Dubai, Saudi Arabia, what they want, Qatar, they want to make money. Lots and lots of it. Steve Wynn, the Wynn Hotel Group, they are planning to open a Vegas-style casino in the Middle East. MGM is planning to open a Vegas-style casino on the Strait of Hormuz. They can't do that with Iranian rockets falling on their properties. Disney is opening a resort in the Middle East. Lego is opening a resort in the Middle East. They've got the Grand Prix is opening a track there. And Six Flags is going to have already has the world's largest, longest, and scariest, allegedly, roller coaster at a resort in the Middle East. So it's like you've got this country there, Iran, that is causing all these other countries to lose money. Lots and lots of money right now. In fact, in 2025, they had their best year ever for tourism. They made a ton of cash, all these restaurants and hotels, because as amazing as it is to think about, in the Middle East, in these Islamic countries, you can't have alcohol, you can't have gambling, and you can't have ladies. But they found a way to relax the rules and look the other way. It's funny how that happens, right? So now they're able to have casinos, resorts, pools, and bars, and restaurants with bars, and poolside bars. But it's not a really good thing for occupancy if you're sitting by the pool and you're sunning yourself and you're having a Mai Tai, and all of a sudden a piece of freaking shrapnel comes and lands right in the middle of your Barca lounger, or poolside lounger, I should say. That's not a good look. And they don't want this anymore. And when I tell you that cruise ships are going through the Strait of Hormuz, you think Iranian oil tankers, you think about drones, and you think about these surface-to-air missiles. You think about the mines that lie in the Strait of Hormuz. And all that's true. But so does a freaking Carnival cruise ship, because there's a giant cruise port there. And they let hundreds of thousands to millions of passengers is their goal over the next several years, to let them go and explore all these beautiful resorts. And people are going to fly and go to Disney Abu Dhabi or Disney wherever. Yeah, they're making lots of money, but they can't make money because war is not good for money. It's not. I mean, everybody who's watched The Godfather knows that. So what do you do if Iran is still controlling the Strait of Hormuz? See, we've been spending a lot of time talking about the United States and what the United States is going to do about it. But what do these other countries do if Iran is eating in their bottom line because it's hurting tourism? I think the real play here is that the other countries in the region eventually step up and force Iran to end this conflict. Because the last thing they want is for this to continue. The last thing they want are boots on the ground. What they want to do is go back to making lots and lots of money. The last thing I want are boots on the ground. Lindsey Graham wants boots on the ground, by the way. Speaking of Disney, he's actually was spotted at Disney World, according to a story from Breitbart, by himself. I mean, who's going to go with, really? It's, you know,
his kids.
But I'm sure he'd love to go with who?
His kids? He doesn't have kids?
No, I don't. I don't think he has
some kids. Okay.
Kids. Yeah, no.
Oh,
I don't. Yeah, I don't. Do a quick search. There's
clackata.
Does Lindsey Graham have a wife and kids? ChatGPT just laughed at me. That's rude. You're supposed to be nice to me and kiss up to me, AI, not mock me and belittle me. He's also, that makes him then, Jared, one of those adults that goes to Disney by themselves.
So if I thought there was no way to think less of Lindsey Graham, you're telling me there's another level. Okay.
Yeah. The question is, would he go to Disney Abu Dhabi by himself? And you know, his favorite ride, it's a small war after all. That's his favorite ride.
It's a good one.
It's a small war. You like that? Good, right?
You know, it's like a Super Bowl thing. Like, you just bombed Iran. What are you doing? I'm going to Disney.
Abu Dhabi. Now, if you go to Epcot in the Middle East, do they have an American pavilion there? I guess they would, right?
Ooh. Do you think it's like racist stereotypes? There's a bunch of like fat Americans, like
like those scooter things they have at Walmart.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Going around, and it's, you know,
that
y'all want some ribs?
That would be amazing.
Terrible. It's a small war after all. It's a small, small war. I'm here in Disney by myself. Got my souvenir cup, free refills.
It's the weirdest.
I could understand, and I don't get it, but the people that go because they love Disney, a husband and wife, or even a husband and husband, or a wife and a wife. But to go by yourself to Disney is the creepiest freaking thing I've ever heard in my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's really creepy.
How sure are we he's alone? Very sure.
We're not.
Okay.
It's possible that maybe he's got a friend who also doubles as Goofy, if you know what I mean. Just saying.
Last thing on that. I'm so sorry.
No, please jump in.
It's a little bit of the Ted Cruz with his like Mayan vacation in the middle of the thing.
Yeah.
Okay, you're Lindsey Graham. You're like, this is my chance to go to Disney. Just not in a government shutdown. Is there a worse time you can go? Like, you're gonna fly through the thing that's not. You're accepting your paycheck to go to Disney.
Yeah.
Where you see TSA workers because you haven't spent enough time solving the problem. You're like, oh, I'm sorry, guys. Anyway, here's my ID. I got a one-man trip to Disney. Just like optically, he should know better.
Also, when you're outside the Bibbidi Bobbidi boutique and you're on the phone, you're going, Mr. President, I think we need to go full-scale nuclear and nuke their ass. I'm sorry, little girl. You know what I mean? Like, it's also
he's
not appropriate.
He's on the phone. He's like, no, you got to nuke up. No, I'm going to need that in a men's small. Small. They don't make it in a men's? Hang on one second. Mr. President, I'm going to.
Little girl, can you hold my line here in the Bibbidi Bobbidi boutique? I'm just telling the president he's got to go global thermonuclear war on Iran. I'll be right back. Yeah, it doesn't make for a good family setting.
You don't think he's got like a security? Do you think Disney has a skiff? Like it's just like on the other side of the park, and he can just go in to do the skiff stuff. Head back out.
Yes, the Disney skiff is. It's been redesigned with a jungle theme because they had to turn that ride off because it was racist. So they, what was the one they had? And this song, "Song of the South." Do you remember?
I do.
And they had, and they had. It was a water ride.
Yep.
It was a log flume ride with Brer Rabbit. And then they shut it down because they said it was racist. It said the Song of the South was racist because it had the crows in there, the Jim Crows and everything. So that's actually the secure skiff where Lindsey Graham goes now to make all his war plans. Yeah.
I actually will say that it also feels like another psyop of them trying to make Iran feel bad. They're like, this guy's gay. He's impotent. Lindsey Graham is making plans to bomb him from Disney. Like it just feels like one more nail in the coffin.
Basically, if you're maybe the psyop is Iran, we're so confident we're going to win this. We've sent our biggest advocate to Disneyland.
It's like Trump and Lindsey and Ted Cruz are all riding the rides, getting the ice cream. But that feels like a psyop.
Like a big buddy movie, you know?
Yes.
Like we're winning, and now we're taking a break to go on Space Mountain. All right. Now, obviously, we like to laugh. And you have to laugh because laughing is good for the soul. And these are crazy times that we're living in right now. And it turns out Nancy Mace paid for his entire vacation to Disneyland or Disney World. But the truth is that my buddy, Dr. Mike Veneria, is going to give you a beautiful smile that you deserve, because everybody deserves a beautiful smile. You might say to me, Rich, how did Dr. Mike become your dentist? Well, that's easy. Mama Zeoli discovered him for our family. And Mama Zeoli knows. She's got great taste in everything, including her children, by the way. She found Dr. Mike one day and she came home and she said, Rich, he's a big fan of yours, honey. You should go see him. And I did. And then he became my dentist. But for over 12 years, other dentists have sent their patients to Dr. Mike for the really complex procedures, things like dental implants. Dental implants are incredibly complicated stuff. You don't want to mess around with those, okay? You want to go to the guy that the other guys consider the expert, and that's Dr. Mike Veneria. VeneriaDental.com. He's my friend and dentist, and you'll love the people that work there. 2 offices for you, Cinnaminson and Woodbury, easy to get to. And all the people in the office are committed to your absolute beautiful smile. And the other thing, too, that you're going to love about Dr. Mike Veneria is that he's like us, like-minded guy with great ideas and opinions and a lot of fun, too. Great music playing in the office and great people. So make your appointment today, VeneriaDental.com, VeneriaDental.com. So I have, wait, what did Navy Prepper say, Jared? I don't have my glasses on.
Skiffity Doo-Dah would be the song of the South. That's where the skiff would be. Skiffity Doo-Dah. Skiffity, eh? It's a very good, it's a very... Navy Prepper, thank you. Are you down this way or the other way? But credit. Thank you. Credit.
Well done, Navy Prepper. Skiffity Doo-Dah, skiffity day.
I have to tie those two things together.
Oh my, what a wonderful way. Pulling the new codes, heading my way. Skiffity Doo-Dah, skiffity day. Mr. DEFCON on my shoulder. It's at 1. That means it's almost over. I mean, this writes itself.
I hope everybody that's watching this live is enjoying it, because there's no way Disney's letting this be posted in perpetuity.
Wait a second. This would be covered under the movie with Woody Harrelson about the porn guy.
I understand that this is Larry Flint versus Larry Flint. This is definitely parody.
This is covered by the famous case, People versus Larry Flint.
You keep saying that.
This is definitely, I'm in solid constitutional footing right now. So, Mr. Ayatollah on my shoulder.
That's good.
We have a lot of, like he's literally on my shoulder, if you know what all right, that went too far. Now I took it to a dark place. I'm sorry, but that's with the gay Ayatollah. Okay, we're going to move on to the story about AOC and the fact that she's in a lot of trouble for her ketamine therapy. And also, so is the doctor, because it clearly didn't work. Ketamine therapy has become a big thing for people who are super rich, and they use it. Elon Musk, for example, uses ketamine. It's supposed to help with depression and with post-traumatic stress disorder and all these other things. Psychedelic drugs are all the rage now. It's something that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has committed to having the FDA look into, especially with veterans who come back from war and to help them with PTSD. But the problem is AOC paid for it with her campaign funds. Now, I have no doubt that she needs therapy. I have no doubt that she needs drugs. I have no doubt that she needs probably all the drugs. But she spent $19,000 in campaign cash on ketamine therapy for her personal use. How does that benefit her campaign? According to a complaint that's been filed with the FEC, this is a clear breach in what campaigns are allowed to spend money on. Now, there's no problem with her spending her own personal money, but why is she using the campaign cash to pay for it? The answer is because these politicians love to avoid spending their own money. That's the real reason. They go to Congress and they become multimillionaires, and then they decide they like it. I mean, they bash millionaires, they bash billionaires, they bash oligarchs. Like, you know, Bernie Sanders used to always trash the millionaires and billionaires till he became a millionaire. That's right, with 4 houses, and somehow became a millionaire after selling a book that nobody read. But he then immediately dropped the millionaires and just started trashing billionaires. Then he realized something. He has a lot of friends who are billionaires. So then it just became right to the oligarchy, right to the top. A lot of the oligarchs also use ketamine therapy. A lot of the people that sell the ketamine therapy are very rich people. But AOC using $19,000 of her campaign cash proves something we've long said about politicians. They love spending other people's money. They love it, particularly Democrats. I mean, they really do. Campaign cash is raised, so it's not your money. You use money that people give you to run your campaign. But the point is, it's other people's money. A lot of times politicians get in trouble because politicians will literally use campaign cash to buy clothes, get their hair done, get their nails done, get boob jobs. No, I'm not kidding. These are real examples over the years, and they've wound up getting fined for it. But they'd rather take the risk of getting an FCC fine or FEC fine than use their own money. Why? Because they're allowed to pay for the fines using campaign cash. So you see, no matter what, the worst that happens is they get a slap on the wrist. So they'll go the extra mile, pay for drivers, pay for all kinds of things that are clearly personal. And then if they get in trouble, they turn around and they go, oh, I'm sorry. And then they write a check to the Federal Election Commission, typically using campaign funds. And if there is some little glitch where they got to use personal funds for it, well, there are ways where they can reimburse themselves through the campaign for other things related to the campaign. So maybe they'll just have a few extra miles that month that they got to do, or maybe they'll need new tires for the car or whatever it is, and then reimburse themselves through their campaign. The point is, this very same people that are always out there, I mean, always out there trying to take more of your money, are always the people finding out ways that they can have other people pay for things that are clearly something they should have to pay for. And it infuriates me, and it should infuriate you too. They're total hypocrites about it. As far as Iran goes, though, you know, AOC has been an outright critic of the Iran war. I can't imagine AOC ever supporting, like the Axios article said, a straight, white, Christian male as her party's nominee. She wants to be her party's nominee. And I think that if you were to get a guy like Andy Beshear, who is a straight, white, Christian male, to be the nominee, I think AOC would have a real problem with that. I really do. I think she would fight him on that. But the real reason why AOC will never be the nominee is because at the end of the day, the Democrat Party is still the party of war. Look, if it's up to Donald Trump, this Iran war comes to an end very quickly. They negotiate a deal. Iran gives up all the uranium. They're able to have somebody monitor it. The Strait of Hormuz is open, and all the Middle Eastern countries can go back to making money. You know, I have a theory that one of the biggest reasons why Iran does not want to make a deal with the great Satan of the Americans is because Iran is not happy that these other Muslim countries are Iran is not happy that these other Muslim countries are serving alcohol and gambling. I really believe that, and welcoming Westerners. Remember, there's a big divide within the Islamic community between the Shias and the Sunnis. They've had this ongoing battle for thousands of years, and they're going to have this ongoing battle for thousands more. But these other countries have softened their approach. They've welcomed Westerners, they've welcomed Americans, and now they've welcomed booze, women, and gambling. These are all things that Iran at one point welcomed too when the Shah of Iran was around. Maybe not the gambling part, but they certainly welcomed all the other things. The Shah of Iran worked to make sure that the Strait of Hormuz was open. And while tourism really wasn't a big thing back in the 1970s, certainly American interests were. Now, these other countries are advancing American interests. I think deep down inside, one of the biggest reasons why, when you read about Disney and the people behind the MGM Grand and Steve Wynn and Vegas-style spheres that they're talking about building, and all these world-class restaurants, golf tours, comedy tours, these are all Western things. And I think the Islamic Republic of Iran is the last true hardline country that wants to see a government, a theocracy that is a hardline Islamic government. Now, I'm not saying these other countries don't have elements within that want to see that, but they're not in charge. And the people who are in charge are way happy making billions and billions of dollars for themselves. So it's kind of like, we'll look the other way. I mean, you know what goes on in Dubai. Dubai has become one of the most Western cities in the world. It's still technically a Muslim country, but it really isn't. You know what I mean? And Dubai is not happy about the fact that Iran's shrapnel hits their tourists by their swimming pools. But Iran is not happy that Dubai welcomes Westerners to sit by their pool and have drinks. I think part of the problem right now, and we're not saying this out loud, because the other countries in the Middle East don't really want to broadcast it, but they are, for the most part, becoming tourist traps. They really are. I'm reading the Wall Street Journal yesterday. I'm sitting there and I'm reading about this and the $1 trillion of investment that is planned in the Middle East over the next decade for hotels, resorts, pools, and bars. And all I can think of is these hardline mullahs and the Ayatollahs and the supreme leaders and all these other people, they can't be happy about this. The battle lines between the Sunnis and the Shias comes down to a vision of Islam. The one that more closely identifies with ISIS is the vision that Iran embraces. That is a 1,000-year control of the planet after an apocalypse. The only way to welcome back the prophet is to have an apocalypse. How do you reason with people like that? How do you sit down at the negotiating table with people that believe that they have to usher in the apocalypse? I remember where I was the day that I read that piece in The Atlantic many years ago, what ISIS really wants. And they went into the fact that what ISIS wants is to bring about a caliphate, the end of the world, so that they can achieve their 1,000-year reign of Islam in their vision. And they want to kill all the infidels. And the infidels also include the Muslims who don't practice Sharia law. There's a whole lot of bad Muslims in their eyes in the Middle East. Any Muslim who serves a drink to a Westerner, an alcoholic drink, or any woman scantily clad walking around a pool. I think that that's part of what we're seeing play out here in the Middle East. Because remember, money at the end of the day controls everything. So, are we going to have ground troops in Iran? No, we're not. There's too much money at stake for there to be another long, protracted war. The investments in the Middle East, in these countries, only started when it seemed like there was relative stability. That was never happening during the Iran-Iraq war. I mean, when President Reagan had to send the Navy to the Strait of Hormuz because the Iran-Iraq war was going on, there weren't tourist sites there. The Disney company wasn't thinking about opening up. It's a small world at the time. They are now. They weren't thinking about gigantic floating movie theaters in the Strait of Hormuz, where tourists can be on rafts attached to ships watching Western movies. This was not something they talked about in the early 1980s. But I don't think we're going to have ground troops there. I don't worry about it in the least. Johnny Joey Jones from Fox News was saying the same thing over the weekend. I was happy to hear him say it. I think he's right.
I'm going to say this. I'm very torn on this completely. I'm personally torn on this because I sat beside Pete Hegseth for years on a couch on Fox and Friends when they needed me. Yeah. I've had a lot of conversations with him before he was confirmed as Secretary of War. I know what's in his heart, and I know what's in his experience. I've also watched President Trump for more than a decade now be a president who said no new wars, no forever wars, and backed that up, killing Soleimani with a missile, taking out Maduro, Midnight Hammer. The track record is there. Ending ISIS in weeks. All right, so the track record is there. Yeah. And I don't think he's changed. I don't think he's owned by Benjamin Netanyahu. I think there are complexities to this that you're going to get criticized over. But I'm going to say this. President Trump, Pete Hegseth, General Kane, the rest of the generals, if you send our men and women into that country to kill our bad guys, to spill their blood because they deserve it, I don't even have to agree with you on it. Just please do this. Don't nation build. Don't win hearts and minds. Don't spread democracy. Spill the blood of the evil people that deserve to die without our hands tied and without a PR campaign and get the hell out of there. That's all we have tolerance for. That's all that will work. We won every battle in Iraq and Afghanistan. We lost the war because our politicians don't have a spine. Don't be those people.
Nation building doesn't work. And this is a man who, by the way, lost body parts in the Gulf War. He knows what he's talking about. He's a really, really smart guy. and I've had the pleasure of being with him several times when I've filled in, like I'm doing today. He wasn't on the show today, but in the past I have. Johnny Joey Jones is a very smart guy, and he's right. But the nation building part, I don't think we have to worry about this time around. I'll tell you the reason why. If the people that want to make money find a way to take power in that country, in Iran that is, they'll just make sure things go back to the status quo. Meaning, all right, what do we have to do so that everybody can go ahead and make money again? But the only way those people can do that is if the religious fanatic hardliners are willing to again turn a blind eye. But the only way to get the religious fanatic hardliners to turn a blind eye to Mickey Mouse walking around Dubai is if the people in Iran are losing money. And then they'll want to take control, and they'll look the other way because they're personally making money. There's no shortage of hypocrisy with these people. I mean, it's really bad. The level of hypocrisy is nauseating. But at the end of the day, Iran is a very, very rich country because of its oil. If it can't be a rich country anymore, there are going to be forces within that country that are not going to be happy about it. But they won't abandon being the Islamic Republic. I mean, they might even change the name or something like that, but the theocracy may still wind up being in charge. We don't need regime change. We just need the regime to cooperate with the countries that are trying to make money and look the other way as those countries violate the Islamic principles that they hold so fundamentally dear, like they were doing, in other words. But you had hardliners in Iran who were about to destabilize the entire region. Let's not discount the fact that a lot of this might have gone on because they were also worried about what would happen if Iran got a nuclear weapon. I mean, think about it. If you're building casinos, if you're building these big hotels, if that kind of investment's going on, if you've got a Vegas-style hotel with multiple pools and hundreds of bars and restaurants on the Strait of Hormuz, do you want Iran getting a nuclear weapon? The answer is no, because you know they're freaking nuts. And they know that they would probably even use it on you. Remember, if the goal here is for them to bring about a caliphate, if the goal for them to bring us about an apocalyptic ending so that the prophet can return and they can have true Sharia law reign supreme for 1,000 years, you'll kill Muslims too. You'll kill lots of Muslims, the non-believers. And the ones who believe, if they die, well, they get, the virgins and the whatever else it is. Although I guess in the case of the new Ayatollah, it'd be gay male virgins.
They're still virgins.
Allegedly.
Virgins.
Still virgins.
They never specified.
No. Allegedly. Again, we don't know for sure if the guy's, gay, but now if you're by the way, if you're a bisexual supreme leader, is it like half and half? Is it like, half the virgins are guys and half the virgins are girls? Is that how that works?
Yeah, I guess too. You just like sick of one and then you like switch, or is it like an allotment? Like it's not like a queue, right? It's like
I don't know. I'm not up on my virgins.
I never finished the Quran.
Infidel.
Kind of it's predictable. I lost interest. Also, I think we should use as a euphemism. He's more of like a solo Disney kind of guy. I think we should start saying that. It's like the Ayatollah. He's like a solo Disney.
Yeah.
Like you know what I'm saying. He's like adult solo Disney visitor kind of. I think it could catch on.
I think it's very catchy.
Uncle Ben, why didn't he ever get married? He's a solo Disney kind of guy.
Song of the South, Southern gentleman, it's a solo Disney kind of guy. So, and there probably are virgins. All right, we're going to stop this right now. Stop going down another dark road. Here's what Andy Beshear said, by the way, about Democrats. I forgot that I had the audio of this. In case you're wondering, the Kentucky governor, who is allegedly straight white Christian male, said this.
The second thing I try to do is just talk like a normal human being. The Democratic Party at different times has talked at and not to people. It's even talked down to people, which is wrong. Our words have to have meaning. Don't just talk about your policy points, talk about your why. People want to know you. They want to know what drives you. They want to know how you'll make a decision for an issue that they're not even thinking about yet. And the why has to be authentic. For me, my why is my family and my faith. It's the golden rule that says, I love my neighbor as myself, and the parable of the Good Samaritan that says that everyone is my neighbor.
Do you notice how he's talking about faith and the fact that he's saying we got to talk like normal people? The fact that we have to talk, the Democrat Party needs to talk like normal people. He has to say that because there's a woman dressed as a freaking banana protesting and can't explain what she's protesting about. Do you think Banana Woman's voting for that guy? No. Do you think Robert De Niro wants Andy Beshear? No. No. These people who are at the No Kings protest, what they want is somebody like an AOC. They want somebody who's going to fight like hell. And the idea of somebody being a white Christian male who's straight is antithetical to everything. It really is. Because remember, one of the big things they love to do is scare you about white Christian nationals. The biggest threat to America. Oh, cell phone radiation. Apparently it's a thing. I didn't know this. RFK Jr. talked about this. And parents, whatever you do, don't do this.
The testing scores have gone up. The disciplinary problems have gone down. The parents were there the day that I went, and I pulled them, and they loved, and they said some of them said their children are no longer using their cell phones in their car, and they come home and have dinner with the families, and they're actually talking to them because they learn that they can exist without them. And, there's all kinds of problems with cell phones, including radiation problems. And I would tell you, don't ever let your child go to sleep with a cell phone next to their head. And I've done a lot of litigation on this, and the science is overwhelming. 10,000 studies that we brought to the Court of Appeals in Washington. The radiation is very, very bad, and it's really troubling that, we have less regulation about it in this country than any other country in the world. For me, I lived in the country so I could get my kids outdoors a lot. And I could make sure they did a lot of physical activity. And I was not that focused on their food, but if I had to go back and do it again, I would be laser focused on what they're eating.
I just gotta say this for the record. If cell phone radiation is so bad, I'm less worried about it by my bedstand than I am next to my junk. Okay, on that note, have a great rest. I mean, I'm walking around with this thing in my pocket all day. I'm just saying. Why are we not having that conversation, Jared? It seems like maybe that should trump bedstand.
I think you're onto something, Rich. I appreciate it.
So if you are on the phone outside the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique as a solo male at Disney, be careful of the radiation. And that's all I'll say. Have a great rest of your day today. Please, thank you for watching and subscribing and liking the show, and tell your friends and tell your enemies. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Let's go.